What is going on, everyone? It's Justin here, and today I've got an unboxing and first look for you of the Xbox Series X in the retail box. I believe it is the first time we've been able to show you guys what this box looks like and also like the unboxing experience, because I feel like it is going to be a very hot item heading into the holiday season. So the last time a brand new generation of Xbox came out was in 2013, and I was still in high school at the time, and I remember going to pick it up at Best Buy. I was super excited, and being able to check it out early for the very first time, I just can't wait to go ahead and plug it into a TV and just see what the next generation of gaming is all about. I'm someone who tries to game occasionally, but not as much as I would like. But with this being a year where there's going to be new consoles from both the PlayStation and the Xbox side, there's a lot to talk about, to compare, to check out the graphics, the 8K capabilities, the 4K ray tracing, and all these crazy things. It's really going to be something that is exciting and people are going to be looking forward to in the holiday season. I'm also going to be working on a full review, and I rented a studio to be able to set it up and show you guys and do some demonstrations. So if you guys want to check that out and maybe even stay tuned for a giveaway, make sure you subscribe to the channel, drop a like on this video, and leave a comment down below as to which platform you're most excited for or the games that are coming out, and follow me over on Instagram for a behind the scenes look. So this right here is the Series X model. They also made a Series S, and looking at the box, it is just like a kind of like that green finish on the top, and I honestly think the Xbox looks better than the PS5. The PS5 is just really big, and I just like the fact that this is a square unit, a bit of a tower to it, and just very minimal. So rotating the box around, you have kind of the information on that side. And on the back here, you have a shot from Halo, as well as the Game Pass information, which we're going to check out as well. But let's just open it up, because I'm sure you guys are very excited, and okay, so now we've got the tape off. Let's just peel this up and open it up, and it says, "Power your dreams." So in terms of presentation, you can see it's got this whole like matte black finish, the foam and everything matches, and here is the Xbox itself in its cube. It is actually my first time seeing this. I know some people did get some units that showed like the size and the form factor, but this is like my very first time like touching and seeing it. Let's just leave that right there. And aside from that, let's just drop all this foam out. You have kind of an info sheet here, which we're gonna take a look at in a second. And beyond that, we also have the HDMI cable, a power cord right here, and also the Xbox Series X controller. Just place that right there. And I believe that is all that comes in the box. So now the console itself, I'm going to lift this up here, and we're gonna peel off some of the plastic. Wow. This actually looks super nice in person. I think like the green kind of accents on the vents and everything are a nice touch. But for the rest of it, it is just like a matte black finish. And I think the Xbox Series X looks really good as well. I personally really like white consoles. I remember with the PS4 and the Xbox, I usually tried to go with the white model, but here you can see is the Xbox Series X, and you also have the option to use it sideways. There's some pads for that, which makes it much easier to put in your home theater setup, depending on the layout of it. But in front, you have your disk drive. You also have the kind of button right here to sync your controllers, the eject button, a USB port, and on the top, you could see the massive fan that kind of like pulls the air through the system. And on the bottom, you just have the stand there. But over here, when it comes to I/O, you have your HDMI output, as well as an Ethernet port, the power, 2 USB port, as well as a storage expansion. And this is for the accessory that Microsoft is going to offer. 1 terabyte expansion is going to be about $200, and it gives you the same performance as what you're going to get on the internal drive of the Xbox Series X. So looking at the controller itself, it is very similar to the one that you find on the Xbox One. The form factor and everything will be very familiar. You have a few extra buttons right here. But in terms of the console itself, here's like a quick rundown as to some of the spec improvements and things that you should expect from the technical side of things, which we're going to put to the test in the full review. So for starters, the big focus is going to be 4K gaming with 8K capabilities. And this is able to game at 4K up to 120 frames per second compared to 60 frames on the previous generation. And this console also has 8K support in HDR, so if you want to watch like movies and stuff, 8K TVs are actually starting to become more readily available, and the prices are just going to continue going down. So for a console that is going to be the one for the next 7 years or so, then having 8K support is really good as more content becomes available. When it comes to the processor, this generation is powered by the AMD Zen 2, which is an 8-core 7nm chip for the CPU, and it clocks up to a speed of 3.8 GHz constant, but if developers want to use simultaneous multi-threading, then it maxes at a speed of 3.6 GHz. With the 8-core setup, 7 of them are actually reserved for gaming, and 1 is reserved for the kind of operating system and menus alone. As for the GPU, this is a 12 teraflop system at a 1.8 GHz locked, and you should get up to 8 times, and on paper it is 8 times more graphics power and 4 times more CPU. One of the biggest things that has been talked about in this generation though is ray tracing. So for certain games with like the amount of detail that you're able to add through light dimensions and all that, it really does take that gaming experience and realism to a next level. As for the RAM, it has 16 gigabytes of GDDR6, with 10 gigs of it being fast GPU memory at 560 gigabytes per second, with 3.5 gigs of standard RAM and 2.5 that is reserved just for the operating system. So based on some of the early interface videos talking about like the menus and the experience with it, one of the things that I really saw was the fact that certain features such as being able to automatically resume another game and multitasking was much faster on this generation of Xbox, with stuff like game load speeds and everything being improved significantly as well. And that is thanks to this kind of system being very powerful overall for CPU and GPU, but also good allocation of the technical power to the operating system itself as well as for the graphics performance. The storage inside on this model of the Xbox Series X is a 1TB NVMe. So when it comes to some of the differences between the Xbox Series X and the Series S, the kind of overall focus of the Series X is to be able to play games in 4K. Whereas on the Series S, it is more geared towards people who may want to play 1440, but I still feel like that console is an incredible value for the next couple years when there might not be as much games and stuff that really take advantage of the full power of their flagship console. This platform is also backwards compatible, so you can play games from the Xbox One, and there is also 568 games that are supported from the Xbox 360 and 39 from the original Xbox. And as someone who started playing games on an original Xbox at like a friend's house, I remember back in the day those games used to take like 30 to 40 minutes to load in some cases. So nowadays some games on the Xbox Series X can load in like 20 seconds. The NVMe SSD is also a huge factor as to how the games are able to load faster. And in the previous generation Xbox One X, one of the biggest things was the fact that both sides of consoles on PlayStation and Xbox used regular hard drives. And at the time, SSDs were still very expensive, so in 2020, NVMe SSDs are obviously way faster and very efficient, but at the same time more readily available at much better prices, which is why this generation console has that fast storage shipping with it. So talking a bit more about the controller, this is very much an evolution from the previous generation as opposed to a complete redesign, which we've seen more of from like the PlayStation side. It pretty much looks the same from a distance, and for the most part it actually feels very similar. It's got a very clean finish and I really like the look of it, but some of the things that may have changed include the D-pad. So instead of it being 4-directional, it is now a hybrid D-pad for more responsive play, and it also has a dynamic latency input to match the frames on the TV and the gameplay with the button pressing on your controller to kind of make it feel a little bit smoother. The other thing is that it also has Bluetooth Low Energy, so if you want to use this on like another device, you're able to do so and it saves power, but it also has USB Type-C on the back for charging, which is kind of the thing that is going to be of the future. When it comes in the box, it has a AA battery, so you do have to buy the Play and Charge kit if you would like to have a rechargeable battery. This controller actually looks very similar, and the good news is if you have a lot of Xbox One controllers, you can go ahead and use it on the Xbox Series X as well, so you don't have to go ahead and replace everything all over again. But otherwise, thank you guys so much for watching this video of my unboxing on the Xbox Series X, and as I said, I've got a space rented to go ahead and set this up and kind of set up the gameplay, give it a go, and also give you my opinions as to what improvements I've noticed from the previous generation to now. And I'm sure a lot of you guys are excited for the next generation of gaming consoles that are going to be available for holiday 2020. But other than that, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel, drop a like, and I'll see you all in the next video.